On this episode of Salute to the Years, we talk about our recent trip to Disney's California Adventure, what we liked, what we didn't like, and what we loved about this park. This is episode 70 of Salute to the Years. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Salute to the Years. I'm Jeremy.
And I'm Erica.
And this is going to be part 3.
I think.
Yeah, part 3 of our recent trip. Yeah, still recent.
We're in the same month.
Okay. Trip out to California. And today we're going to talk about Disney's California Adventure.
Oh my gosh. We had the absolute best time there. And I mean, this is the thing. Here we are almost a month out from our trip, and we are still talking about it regularly and things that we did and liked and what we enjoyed, what we didn't.
Right. I didn't know what to expect going in there. I think from a lot of the friends that I've made through doing this, it's always been Disneyland.
Yeah.
You'll hear some things about DCA, but I didn't know what to expect really going in.
I mean, here's the thing. It obviously has a Hollywood Studios vibe.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah. You see that from the front gate.
They are so, I mean, there's so many pieces. If you watch the Imagineering story and you look at how, you know, the changes that were made out there when they decided that hosting a entire land dedicated to the state of California, when most of your residents are most of your clientele are California residents, was not the smartest thing in the world. When they changed everything, they also changed Hollywood Studios and had this same, you ended up with this very similar vibe, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's easy for me to say this was my favorite park there.
Oh, 100%.
Right. It was different than Hollywood Studios. There was enough things in there that were similar, but the way that it was, one of the ways it was very different than Disneyland was it was pretty wide open, meaning like it could hold the people.
Well, yeah, and I mean a huge part of that is that it wasn't built until so much
right.
later. So
yeah.
I mean, it's understandable why,
right?
But at the same time, like you were able to make it ADA accessible from the get-go and all these things, and it just has such a different, like, I am totally a let me sit at Magic Kingdom and people watch person. I normally am not quite a like Hollywood Studios let me sit and people watch or Epcot person. Like I can sit and people watch at Animal Kingdom, and I can sit and people watch at Magic Kingdom, usually in Florida.
Right.
I had no real desire or never even really found a good place within Disneyland to just sit and people watch.
Yeah.
Where you could just sit and like hang out and like relax and like feel like there wasn't this like rush around you.
Yeah.
I did get that. I mean, we were there over 2 days worth of.
Yeah, we were there for basically like a day and a half.
And we had so many times when we just kind of got to just sit back and like.
Almost like a time in each different land there, whether it was Avengers
really
Campus or I want to call it the Big Sur part. I don't even remember what that part was called. They had like Soarin',
State Park, yeah.
Right, and then like Avengers Campus and Cars Land. Like there was something in each one where we could take a minute and just kind of sit down and take it in.
Yeah.
It was even over what I want to call like the cityscape area. It reminded me of the old cityscape at Hollywood Studios. That's where Galaxy's Edge is. But there were plenty of places over there. I mean, we stopped and had a snack there. Like I got some pineapple and got some grapes, and we had a little snack there, and we were able to take it in and kind of watch people.
Yeah.
And admire like the cityscape is when we were trying to figure out what to do next.
The other place that I really liked was there's kind of this circle hub, right at the, you've come down kind of the quote unquote main street, like Buena Vista Street, right? Like you've come down and there's like this circle hub and we sat there, and they had like a
little jazz band.
like a 1930s, like 1920s, 1930s like band, and
Yeah.
like a really amazing singer.
Right.
And that was awesome. We sat there and
Yeah.
ate a churro, and
Yeah. No, they came down in their old car.
yeah.
They're all lodged into and
Mm-hmm.
got out, sang a couple songs, and back on their way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that part, like, it
And
wasn't.
somebody had bubbles going too. I remember that.
Yeah. Someone had bubbles going. She reminded me of, like, Tiana singing.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
When she, like, especially when you think about, like, in Princess and the Frog, when Tiana's, like, you know, fantasizing about opening
mm-hmm.
Tiana's place, and,
Yeah.
like, this, she's up on the stage, and she's got the old microphone.
Right.
Like,
Right.
it was just, like, it was one of those things where I was like, core memory.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this whole park was core memories for our kids, because so many of the things that they grew up with were at this park. Avengers, Cars, which Jackson will die on the hill of. Cars 2 is a masterpiece.
Cars 2, I think, is his favorite Pixar movie.
It might be, or he just does it to push our buttons.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Right.
I don't know that I have ever had so much fun dancing around in the street as I did in Cars Land.
Oh, yeah.
And watching our kids, like watching Brooklyn and her cousin dancing, or like joining in, and just, there was just this like invitation in.
Right.
There was an invitation to be included in so many aspects of the park.
Right.
I honestly felt like the cast members were friendlier overall. They're just like, there was this calmness over there that I did not feel in Disneyland. And that's even like when we first went in and we had no idea where anything was, and we had no idea what we were, you know,
Right.
like where we wanted to go, what we wanted to do next, like what was coming up. Like, it was still just as foreign to us as going into Disneyland was the day before.
Right.
Now, it was just us. So we had split this up with our large party. All of us went to Disneyland on Friday together.
Mm-hmm.
We had 3-day tickets. Most of our party had 2-day tickets. We went back to the parks on Saturday, but just us 4 and the 2 extra teenage cousins.
Right.
And then Sunday, everybody was back together at DCA.
Yeah. But by this point, we'd pretty much already done everything.
We had already done everything. Why can I not say that? Wow. Brain work. We had already done everything.
Right.
That we wanted to do. We had already at least once done all of the things that we were hoping to do. And so it made a difference in how we experienced Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I think we said this on the last podcast, but like, I will always be an advocate of, if you can add one more day to your trip, either in Florida or California, do it.
Yeah.
Now, usually for Florida, I would say, hey, give yourself a day off, or at least a half day.
Right.
Give yourself the option that if you do 3/4 days every day, that you're going to be okay and get to do everything, right? Like in Florida, I would say you have to have 3 days if you want to do majority of the things that you want to do within both Disneyland and DCA.
Right. Because one of the things you have to remember is, especially if you're a rides person, there are more rides in Disneyland and DCA than there is in all of Disney World.
Right.
So, just this much smaller area.
Much smaller area. And I did feel like, though, even though it was considerably, I mean, still busy.
Yeah.
It's not like it was like off-peak time. You're talking about the weekend after Memorial Day.
Right. Still talking about grad nights.
You're still talking about grad nights. Like, it was still busy. We never waited over an hour.
No.
For anything.
And that was for a peak ride at a peak time.
Yes.
That was after we did the dancing thing.
Shaboom.
There you go. I was about to pull out a Ricky Martin song, and it's not right.
No, Shaboom in Cars Land, which
Right.
is when the neons come on at sunset. We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But first, I want to talk about the thing that I think helped us the most. And we talked about it before on here and about overall with our trip. But Genie Plus worked so well for us.
Oh, phenomenal there. Phenomenal.
Absolutely phenomenal. And the app actually, I felt like helped us. We did okay with that. With the exception of one thing as far as the app.
Okay. I don't remember where you're going with that.
The thing that the app did not help us with was walk-up table service reservations.
Oh, yeah.
So we ended up deciding on our second night. We had some time to kill. Everybody had split up for dinner. We decided we were going to try to go do Lamplight Lounge.
Right.
It said that walk-ups were available. And initially when we were looking at it, and so we were like, great. Well, by the time we were like trying for it, it said that it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up going up and talking to them.
Right.
And they basically said, like, we sent Jackson because he's got the longest stride and could get there the fastest.
And I had to go back to the hotel to grab sweatshirts.
Yeah,
and
you
stuff.
had to go back. So we sent Jackson over to Lamplight Lounge and said, just ask, just find out if it's even like, because the app was telling me something funny about it. Like it would let me and then it wouldn't let me. And then it would say that walk-ups were available, but then you'd like click on it and it would say that they didn't have any. And so he went up and talked to her and she said, look, I don't have any right now, but check back with me at 6 because that's when we'll open up the next set of walk-ups. And she ended up telling Jackson that the app is basically worthless when it comes to walk-ups and in the table service restaurants there.
Right.
So if you're looking for a walk-up reservation and it says in any way, shape, or form on the app that they are available, go talk to the hostess there.
Right. She said they reset at 6. So
I think it's every hour.
I don't know if it was every hour. I know she very specifically said 6.
Well, that was the next hour that we were
Right.
coming up to,
So
though, too.
yeah. So keep checking in with them. If there's a very specific place you would decide you want to eat at, go and check up with them. Like,
Be very kind.
yeah, around the top of the hour, I guess.
Yeah, or right before the top of the hour, like check in with them and just see. And it is worth going and asking them versus just being like, oh, the app says there's no walk-up reservations available. We had an excellent seat.
Yeah.
We had an excellent view. Our waitress was super nice. Like we had a great experience. And I was pleasantly surprised to see that they had several mocktails there,
Yeah.
which was nice.
I will say if you have picky eaters,
Yeah.
that may not be the place to go. It's
Unless they can do kids menu. The kids menu wasn't too bad, but
the menu itself was kind of limited.
well, it's meant to be appetizers.
It's more of like a lounge, yeah. So, like I said, yeah, if you got picky eaters, it can be kind of tough.
Yeah, I had like the salmon BLT something. Like it was spectacular.
I don't even remember what I had, so it tells you how I do remember that was the thing I liked the least during my day there. From snacks we went to Pim's Test Kitchen, which was fun. Like, and we had this giant pretzel. Like the pretzel was good.
Yeah,
like,
it really was.
It was actually like a good
The
pretzel.
beer cheese was really good with it too. It wasn't just plastic cheese.
Yeah, and they got fun drinks and stuff there too. Like, it was a fun little place. And then corn dog for lunch. Like, definitely the superior corn dog between Disney World and Disneyland. Like, I'm not a big comparison guy on this stuff, but they definitely had the superior corn dog.
Absolutely.
It was really good.
Other than the walk-up aspect of table service and like so the dining aspect, mobile order worked fine.
Fantastic. Yep.
Mobile order was great. We did have a couple of times of confusion on some of our days in there of like where to pick up mobile order. Signage sometimes wasn't always where it was supposed to be to kind of guide you.
Right.
So just be on the lookout for that if you go. But the app worked really well for us there. I felt like we got more, you get more ride photos.
Yeah, maybe.
And I think that's just because so many of the rides are newer.
It is. It is.
But we had some great ones from Guardians. We had some
Yeah.
really cool experiences with, character meet and greets that included Photo Pass, which was super great.
Yeah. Like, I will say, it's nice that Genie Plus worked so well there because they have so many good rides. Guardians, like, it was Tower of Terror. It is no longer Tower of Terror. I mean, you can still tell it was, like, especially if you've rode Tower a bunch. It's a slightly different system. So in Florida, like, you'll go backwards and then up and work your way back over before you start dropping. Here, you just start going up immediately.
Which I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot that that's what you do.
Right.
And I was already just like bracing for like what was to come, and I forgot that you drop immediately, and it scared the snot out of me.
Right. Like, fun ride.
I
Absolutely
think
fun ride.
was the very first thing we used Genie Plus on over there.
Yeah, because Jackson and I walked on Soarin' before that, which you didn't see the queue. Like, that's a nice queue.
Yeah.
Like vintage airplane pictures and props and stuff in there, like inside of a hangar. Like, it was kind of a fun queue. It's that one's definitely better than Epcot's.
Yeah. Even just the area around there is just nicer than
that was fun.
Than Epcot's. We had such a great time in DCA. I would love to know your favorite thing about each major section
Ooh, boy.
So like Avengers Campus, Cars, Buena Vista Street, like.
Okay. For me, we'll just start with like Avengers Campus. Okay, it was one thing I was definitely looking forward to because we've been very specifically like me and Jackson, Brooklyn too. You not as much, but still there. As far as rides, like I liked Guardians better, but I still think Spider-Man's fun just because it has that competitive part in me.
Yeah.
And me and Jackson about threw our arms out of socket trying to do that thing. But I think it was just the overall like environment of Avengers Campus and taking it in. You're like, oh look, there's Loki or there's Cap. Wow, that's really cool. Oh, Black Widow's over there. Like taking in all those different things. I think that was my favorite part. Maybe over there.
Yeah. I like about Avengers Campus is that I feel like there is consistently something happening. There's not a whole lot of time. Like if you've been sitting in Avengers Campus for 15 minutes and nothing has changed, nobody's come out.
Yeah.
There's not like a little show happening either with Doctor Strange or Spider-Man or why can't I say their name?
I know what you're talking about.
Doja.
I can never say their names, so don't expect me to do
They're
it.
so beautiful.
The
They're so
guards.
beautiful.
The guards.
From Wakanda. They're so stunning. They, if there's not something happening, then something's wrong. Like
Yeah.
pretty much from about 10 a.m. until dark,
Right.
even after dark, there's something.
Right.
Somebody else, something happening.
And the Spider-Man one happens a lot.
Yeah, it starts at like 10 or 10:30, and then it's basically like every 20 to 30 minutes.
Right. And if you get there at the end of it, don't go far if that's something you want to see. And make sure you get on the right end. Because you may have been watching it one time, you're like, oh, I can't really see well. Well, it's about to end. Go down to the other end and watch it. Because then you can really see like Spider-Man fly through the air or climb down the wall.
If you're if your kid is wanting to quote unquote meet Spider-Man, there are no opportunities to just go and meet Spider-Man.
Right.
But you can see him and potentially get a high five. If you are along the front row of the group of people. There will be like at least 5 or 6 cast members that are directing traffic, directing people where to stand. Before, during, and after each performance, like each display with Spider-Man. You want to be kind of along the front of that group of people as they direct you, and you want to basically be right smack in the middle of where he flies.
Yeah.
Like there's a balcony where he runs across and he kind of sits up there. You want to be like right across from that, and then but towards the front, and then you should be able to high five Spider-Man when he comes down the line after he comes down. Sorry for the spoilers if you were, super excited about experiencing that. But the nice thing is the times that show starts are in the app.
Yeah, they are.
So you can see that, you can see what the next time is.
Mm-hmm.
And while there's not a lot of like seating or anything over there, there are some benches. And so if you've got somebody with you that needs a break, this might be a good opportunity to just kind of sit and wait for Spider-Man, watch that real quick, and then go on to something else.
Right. I would say be aware, though, over in Adventures Campus, there's not a lot of shade.
Mm-mm.
So if it's the middle of the day and it's warm, just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
You're not going to find a lot of shade or AC.
No. I did not ride. I mean, I rode Guardians
Mm-hmm.
one time.
One time.
That was enough.
Brooklyn kind of did.
Brooklyn was there in body. I don't know if she was in spirit.
She about ripped off my arm. Her eyes would be buried in my shoulder, and then we'd get up to where the video was. I'm like, okay, you can look up. And she would look up, and then we'd start to drop again, and the eyes would go back into my shoulder.
No, the picture of her is like completely curled around your arm, like a koala. Like she is just like gripped on for dear life. I'm gripping. I happen to be against the wall, and so I am gripping. There's like a
grab bar. Yeah.
Like a grab bar thing on the side of the wall, and I am gripping that thing with all of my might and like holding on to the bar in between my seat and Jackson's. Once was enough. Thank you very much.
It was a fun ride. We did it multiple times.
Which is so funny because I love Tower of Terror.
Right.
And the ride system itself, as far as the up and down part.
Yeah, that part's the same.
That part's the same. So I don't understand what freaked me out so much about it. But I don't know if it's just because it just happened so suddenly. I don't have the time to prepare for that the way that you do with Tower. But anyway, I loved Avengers Campus, and I loved how personal it felt within there. Characters felt personal. We had an amazing experience with Loki. We had an amazing experience with a cast member who noticed that we needed a little extra. Right. And took the time to make sure that Brooklyn got to meet Loki.
Mm-hmm. Her and Jackson. But
I mean.
Yeah, definitely Brooklyn. Yeah.
And so it was really, really, really great. What about Cars Land?
Cars Land is, out of all the lands and all the parks, might be my favorite themed land.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like if you could bring Radiator Springs to life, they did it.
And maybe it's just the way that I feel about, like, the first time we walked into Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah.
The very first time we ever walked in there.
No, that's true.
It just felt so immersive. I mean, this was the first time that we'd gotten to experience this.
No, that is a good one too.
You just feel like you stepped into the story.
Yeah.
Like there is no questioning.
Yeah. Right. I think there's parts of Galaxy's Edge that are like that. Like when you see like the Millennium Falcon and you maybe see Chewbacca. Mm-hmm. The whole thing felt like it. From Luigi's Tire Shop. Yeah. And inside of there, and you see all the tires on the wall. Or going to eat at Flo's, and you see the piston cups in there. You know, like...
You get to see Doc Hudson's piston cups.
Right. And then the ride of Radiator Springs Racers is fantastic.
The absolute attention to detail. Now, don't get me wrong. I rode both Mater and Luigi's Racers, like we both did.
Yeah.
But I got to ride them an extra time because when we were all together as a big group, the two littlest ones in our group were not tall enough to ride Radiator Springs Racers.
Yeah.
Which was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, poor Sam. That was hard.
Right.
For him to watch everybody else walk towards that and me have to carry him away. Right. There were big tears. Well, we went and rode Luigi's.
Right.
And even though it's a really simple ride, it's so fun. Like,
Right,
it's
it is.
such a cute little... You get to dance with the cars. And, like, there's something fun about the music, and it just puts you in a good mood. If
It
you
is.
walk away from that or Mater's ride and you are not in a good mood,
Right.
like, something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Because it's happy.
Right. And if you're not in awe by the rock work in Radiator Springs,
Oh my gosh.
like,
I mean, the detail
it's so
everywhere.
good. So good.
And I will say this, make sure, go down and walk back on the side of Radiator Springs.
And kind of back behind flows and all that. There are some fantastic spots for pictures.
Yeah. So you can actually get between Pacific Wharf and Radiator Springs Racers. It's actually a walkway that goes along the side of the ride. And I mean, but it's so beautiful.
Right.
I mean, those were some of my favorite pictures that we took, were just even of just the scenery.
Right.
But to have, like, you're riding with Lightning and Mater, you're just like driving along, and like you just come around the corner and they play the music, and like they did in the movie when he comes around the corner, and like it is magical. You really feel like you are there and experiencing it the way that the characters do in the movie. And there's just something about that's why we go.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
why we do this.
Right.
It's why we love this. It's that feeling. So Radiator Springs Racers, obviously top tier ride, but don't sleep on Luigi's or Mater.
Right. No, they're fun.
And the
Yeah,
queues are super cute for both of them.
Yeah.
If your kids are anywhere near our kids' ages or even younger, they like Disney Plus type things, they would have seen all of the Mater shorts.
Yeah.
All of the little short
Like Mater the Greater.
Mater shows. Yeah, Mater the Greater and oh my gosh,
there
what
were
was
so many
Heavy
of them.
Metal Mater.
Yeah.
There was the UFO one.
There's one where he's a monster truck.
Yep.
There were so many of them.
It was so good. Jackson had the
Stunt one.
he had the stunt one. Yeah, it was
Mater
like
the Greater.
that's Mater the Greater.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like like he had the little Hot Wheels track set, and it was. I mean, this was, gosh. I mean, Cars itself came out before Jackson was born, or
Right.
came out the year he was born, or something like. So I mean, they have literally grown up with this their entire lives.
Right. Like Marvel and Cars specifically, for Jackson very specifically, was his childhood. Like,
Oh, 100%. I mean, he was 5 when Avengers came out.
yeah. And we had an Avengers birthday party.
That was 6.
Was that 6?
That was 6. I think he was 5 when it came out, but he was 6 it was when he turned 6 that we had his birthday party. I just know we took him to the drive-in to see it.
Right.
So Brooklyn was little, and yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
just always been something that
Right.
they've gotten to experience.
Right.
The other thing, I mean, it's just Pixar in general.
Right.
They've
That's
never
right.
really
Yep.
known. They've never been without Pixar.
Mm-hmm.
They still like, the Disney Renaissance movies. They've never really been into a whole lot of the movies that were pre-90s Renaissance.
Right.
But Pixar for sure is their
Yeah.
jam.
Absolutely.
And so the next area I want to talk about is Pixar Pier.
Yeah. So another one that it's hot over there. Yeah. There's some places you can walk under to get some shade, and some shops. Gosh, what was the name of that shop? The one with all the artist stuff in there.
It's
But-
right across from the entrance to Lamplight.
Yeah, but you got artists in there just like drawing, like sketching out different characters and scenes that are just fantastic. For that being something else and having to renovate it into something, they did a fantastic job.
Oh yeah.
Like, you didn't ride Incredicoaster, but
I wish I had. I mean,
That
I
thing
do
is
regret
fun.
not riding it. It just, when you guys were riding it,
Right.
when we had the opportunities to, it was difficult for me
Yeah.
to do that.
Right. It's that one, like the queue is definitely lacking. But it's also because they had to, it was something else before.
Right.
The ride itself, like the talking in your ear was clear, like that was good. Like, and you could follow the storyline. You could tell that it was maybe added in after. But still, I mean, like you're going through part of it and you're smelling num num cookies.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's a fun coaster and it's a lot longer than what I realized. Like it was a long one.
Yeah.
Like that was probably my favorite thing back in Pixar Pier was that ride. Like I love Toy Story Mania, but theirs was rough. Like, but it's getting ready to go down for some refurbishment.
Which is funny because I didn't think that it was as rough as Florida.
Yeah.
So maybe it was just the car that I had, like, wasn't as bad.
Like,
but
Jackson and I were
we
like,
back to back?
maybe, I don't know. Jackson and I were like all over the place. Like it felt rough.
I didn't think it was.
And our guns were like way off target.
Mine was way off target. That was an issue for me because Brooklyn about kicked my butt. The thing that I liked most about Pixar Pier was I felt like it encompassed like a lot of different elements without being too overly like, I don't want to say like not in your face because it's kind of flashy in your face, but like it was still like I could have just hung out there for the whole evening and been totally content.
Right.
So I don't feel like I got to spend enough time exploring that area. Like when we ate lunch back in there, I figured out that was actually where Mirabelle's meet and greet is.
Oh, okay. Because earlier
I said Merida. We were talking about this earlier, and I said Merida. I didn't mean Merida. I meant Mirabelle.
Okay.
I knew who I meant in my head. I had the right picture.
I was like, man, this really is odd place for a Scottish girl.
No.
Like
Mirabelle, from Encanto, and she had just left.
Right. No, I remember watching her walk by. Yeah.
So, but I had no idea that it was even back there because I would have told my sister and had her bring Hattie back there. But I didn't know to tell her because it's kind of tucked away and hidden. If you don't know that it's back there, you're not necessarily going to see it. Frozone's back there meeting people.
Oh, wow.
Like, we passed that on the... We were walking around.
We saw Frozone somewhere.
Yeah. It's like on the back, like where all the games and stuff are.
Yeah.
Like we were making the full loop, basically. Right. And none of us rode the Ferris wheel. Which was funny because that is one thing that we thought you guys all were planning on doing.
Yeah,
or the kids wanted to.
Kids definitely wanted to. They wanted to do the cars that were sliding. Swing. But that line was always one of the highest weights.
Yeah. Well, it's hard because it takes the longest to load and unload. But that was a big fat no from me. Okay. What about Pixar Pier is the other one. You didn't get to ride anything really or do a whole lot up in Hollywoodland.
No, I did not.
I did because I did some stuff with the Littles. The Littles and I did the Monsters Inc. ride. No, I did that with Brooklyn.
Yeah. We
went and did the Monsters Inc. ride, which was actually really cute. And we did Turtle Talk with Crush.
Which I didn't even know they had. And
we did Mickey's PhilharMagic. And we did, Kendra did, so there's like this whole big building. It's like looks like an old movie theater type, like, and it holds Animation Academy, Anna and Elsa's Royal Welcome, Turtle Talk with Crush, and the Sorcerer's Workshop. There was so much space. It was air conditioned. There were things to do. You had lots of little kids running around. If you have littles and you need a break, this is where you go.
Yeah.
This is also where when Roger's musical opens, it's back in Hollywoodland.
Which there's more stuff coming about that. There's all kinds of treats out for it, and someone saw like there was a special preview of it today. And if you're wearing a Magic Band, it's like super interactive with it.
Wow.
Okay.
Disney Junior is back in there. The Disney Junior dance parties back there along Hollywoodland. You also have like the opportunity to have. There's some really good snacks along in there.
There are.
You had the award wieners hot dog place.
Yep.
Very comical. If you have a 5-year-old or 17-year-old
or 44-year-old
toddlers and teenagers, man, I'm telling you, they're the same. They had, and then they've also got like a market, like where you had like fresh fruit and
it was good. It was nice to find like good fresh fruit, not just having to eat your normal snacks.
But now, I really did actually enjoy that area more than I thought I was going to.
So are we including like whenever you first walk in of DCA with that area?
I would call that...
There's something with that area that I absolutely love that we haven't talked about.
What's that?
And that would be when I first walked in on the first day, it was like down that little hub area. There's a trolley.
Yes.
And on this trolley, you had the trolley driver.
Yes.
You had a mayor and you had a policeman.
Yes.
On the front of it. And it's coming by me. And then on the back of it is Mickey and Minnie.
Yeah.
Yep. It goes up to the front. The characters all get off there. But when we came in the second day, the policeman was walking around just talking to people, like having a good time. Like,
oh no, you definitely have the character interaction, like even with the Main Street characters that are like, isn't that what they're called? Like the characters of Main Street, or like
I'm not for sure. I know over when they were in Magic Kingdom over in Disney World, they were the citizens of Main Street.
That's what it is, citizens of Main Street. That's who they are. Mayor Donna, loved Mayor Donna.
You used to have that at Magic Kingdom. Since COVID, that hasn't come back.
Right.
And you used to have stuff like that over at Hollywood Studios. Again, hasn't come back. That's what needs to come back.
Oh, yeah.
That was fantastic. I didn't realize how much I missed that.
Brooklyn and I rode. So when we went to DCA on Saturday while we were there, it was just the four of us that morning. Brooklyn and I decided we needed Starbucks. We mobile ordered some Starbucks from the one in downtown Disney. Super easy for us to like walk over there and get. You guys wanted to ride Soarin'. Her and I didn't care about riding it.
Right.
So we said, we're going to go pick up Starbucks. We'll meet you guys inside. So we literally walked our Starbucks in, like, because we had your guys' orders too. And we went and got on the trolley. Like, we saw that it was there and it was like taking people. And I was like, you want to ride the trolley? Like, I didn't even know where exactly it ended up, but I was like, it can't go far, so like you guys weren't even on the ride yet at that point, so we were fine. And so we rode the trolley, and it was so fabulous the way even the cast members interacted, and like, it was really nice. And then when we left that night, Mickey and Minnie were on the trolley at the front waving goodbye to everybody. And so that was really nice, where you kind of just had this like little touch of magic at the end of the night. Like,
I felt like those little touches were, I don't know if they were just easier to see there because we weren't so overrun or what it was, but there was definitely little touches like that that were fun. Like, so many of the characters were dressed in different costumes that I hadn't ever seen. Like what Goofy was wearing, I'd never seen that.
Yeah, he's kind of that dapper costume.
Although you didn't really see Donald and Daisy there very much.
Nope, saw them in Disneyland a little bit, but not the same way that
you do in World. World, they're pretty prevalent.
Can I tell you a ride that I actually had more fun on than I thought I was going to?
Sure.
Grizzly Peak. Like,
no kidding.
Grizzly Peak.
Yeah. No, that was funner than I thought it was going to be.
Grizzly River Run. Grizzly Peak is the area there, but like Grizzly River Run is, it's the raft water ride.
Yeah.
Like big circle raft.
No wait.
No wait.
Ever.
And it wasn't wasn't terribly hot either.
No,
So,
it wasn't.
I mean, that was
it wasn't.
part of it. If I remember, I ended up going back and changing after that ride because I was
A little wet.
a little wet. And we did have good other people in our little raft with us,
yeah.
like that
Made it
helped
fun.
make it fun.
Yeah.
That does make a difference.
You always get people on the water ride, that don't want to get wet. And they're always the ones that get wet.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was a fun ride. That spun.
Yes.
Yeah. We rode that right after lunch.
Yeah, that was not the smartest thing we've ever done, but
I didn't know it was going to spin like that.
it spun a lot. And I don't know if that was just because our weight happened to be distributed, and so it allowed for it to spin a lot, or what, but we spun a lot, and that was, but I actually had way more fun on it. And again, with the views along there and
fantastic.
the way that it's set up, top notch.
No, the whole time I was doing that, I thought about this twice when I was in this park. When I was riding that ride, I was like, oh, this is what Cali River Rapids was supposed to be like.
Yeah.
And then when we were doing parts of Pixar Pier, and we're going past like some of the games and stuff like this is what Dino Land was supposed to be. And I think maybe they learned from Animal Kingdom, you know?
Yeah, I do think that there's probably aspects of things that had been done or not done well.
I mean, the water ride was actually one of the few that stuck around from the original.
Am I remembering
they
right,
didn't
though, that
refurb
Cali had something to do with, they took space for something else?
Yeah. It's only a third of as long as it's supposed to be.
Right.
So it's much shorter than
just a
planned.
baby.
Right.
The thing that we need to talk about, though, and that we really did, I mean, I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed.
Yeah, this might have been my favorite thing of the whole Disney trip.
It was 100% worth it, but I have some advice for you on it, and that was the World of Color dessert party.
Right. World of Color 1.
World of Color 1 dessert party. And 2 things. Look and see when check-in starts for it, and check in early.
Correct.
If you can. And understand that once you check in, you're not going right over to your seats. You're waiting in line. They're going to take you over in groups.
Mm-hmm.
You do not check in right outside World of Color, which doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever, why you can't just check in there, but okay. It's a little confusing if you kind of don't know where you are or what you're doing. The show itself, though, and the seats that you get are awesome.
Right. Good seats where you don't have to worry about getting wet.
Right. Ask for the high top if you can sit in a high top.
Mm-hmm.
Because you will have a better view than if you're in the regular table and chairs.
Right.
But the desserts were delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody gets their own plate of desserts.
It was a mixture of cakes and cookies and cheeses and fruits, and it was good.
Yeah. The kids all got little light up drink sipper things.
Yeah, little sippers.
Little Mickey sippers. And they also would bring them hot chocolate.
Yeah, they would.
We each had the option of up to 2 cocktails.
Or beers.
Like it was two alcoholic beverages. It was like wine and beer. And,
right.
Or soda, hot chocolate, coffee, waters. Everybody got waters, like little mini water bottles. It's real cloth napkins and silverware. It's nice.
Mm-hmm. It is. I worked very hard at not watching any videos of this show, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
So that way I was surprised by stuff, because there were multiple times where either you would gasp, or I would gasp, or the whole crowd would gasp with things.
I'm literally gonna cry just thinking back to it.
Right.
And some of the moments, and looking and watching and seeing Sam's eyes light up.
Mm-hmm.
And just thinking about like the way that they combined the images on the projecting on the water, and the sound, and the, sometimes like you have music plus like a voiceover.
And they picked the right music.
They picked the right music. It's the right flow of like different themes of it immerses you into this storyline of one drop can make all the difference. And it is so beautiful. And everything that I complained about as far as harmonious and the ugly tacos and the water shooting off of them. And I was like, it's just not, there's something about it that's off. It's off because what they were trying to replicate was what you get in World of Color.
Right. Yeah.
And you can't without recreating that system.
Right.
Right, which would mean draining the lake and isn't going to happen.
Yeah.
But if they could have that type of water show projection, all of that at Epcot or at Animal Kingdom.
That's what I was thinking was Animal Kingdom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, you could totally do the whole kind of like preservation story, you know, the like where you're trying to really, help
and
world.
You could do a world story or an imagination type story with that over in Epcot, but you're gonna have to figure out the correct way to do that without tacos and Stargates.
Well, and that was the thing, is that they did it that way, I think, just because you watch that in the round. When you're watching World of Color, everybody is standing on one side.
Right. Yeah.
The whole backside of Pixar Pier and all of that is all closed off.
Do you have a favorite part of that show? Is there like one part that sticks out?
Twofold. The Star Wars section. Spoiler alerts here, guys.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into details on it because I'll cry.
Right.
And Avengers.
Yeah. Avengers got me. Like,
the thing that set me off to begin with was Walt.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was... I'm going to cry.
Now, like, Avengers got me because it like already got me. Then I look at you and you're sobbing at that point.
Oh my God.
And then I can see Jackson, and Jackson's just like eyes wide. Brooklyn's eyes are wide, like mouth open, like, oh my God.
It was fun to talk to my cousin afterwards because they've seen World of Color. They hadn't seen this new version of it, but they've seen World of Color before. And she's like, to them, it's kind of how we feel watching some of the shows in Florida. We're like, we've seen, like, it's new and it's exciting and we enjoy it, but it doesn't always elicit the like full blown response that it did for us with this one. And it was like seeing that whole thing for the first time, and especially because we had worked so hard to not watch ahead of time. It was absolutely stunning. I'm so glad that we did that. We did have some chaos with it as far as like, even though I know, because I was on the phone with Kendra when she was putting in the tickets for it, I know that she marked allergies. Yeah. They didn't have our allergies in there, and so we had to do some finagling to make sure that we could get allergy-friendly foods. And just a heads up, if you have an allergy to coconut oil, it is in everything that they serve there. So you need to make sure they know that ahead of time, because they would have to get you
more fruits and cheeses.
Well, and they have other desserts that they could have prepped for that, but they didn't have any without them for one in our party. But it worked out. And the hot chocolate also contains coconut oil. Yeah. So just a heads up, like, even if you have a kid who has an allergy and maybe a tree nut allergy, like, I know that those technically fall into two categories, like coconut versus tree nut, but if you steer clear of coconut oil, it's in the hot chocolate.
It was not in the beer.
It was not in the beer. It was not in the can of Coke I had either. We had the most spectacular time. I'm so glad that was what we ended our entire time there with. That was perfect.
No, that was phenomenal. Yeah.
It is not cheap to do that.
No.
It's not overly expensive as far as, like, it's cheaper than the dessert parties in Florida. Yeah. It is.
Okay.
I looked.
Okay.
But it was still, you're still paying at least, about $100 a person.
Mm-hmm.
And that, that adds up
Right.
very quickly.
Yep. But I mean, other than the desserts and the snacks and drinks and stuff you get with it, it's also nice to know that you're not going to be leaving there soaking wet.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to go like sit down and battle a crowd for your spot, especially when you have a group
Do the virtual queue for those sections.
16,
Yeah, because you really have to do the virtual queue for one of the 3 sections to stand up there. And so that I'm glad we didn't have to battle that. I'm glad we didn't have to. The only thing I wish that it had not been a grad night.
Yeah.
So grad night literally was starting
when we were ending. Yeah.
When World of Color was over. And so, because World of Color started at 9, grad night started at 9. So that was kind of chaotic because then they're asking all of us to
get out.
And the teenagers, the DJ's going for the teenagers, but it is what it is with that. We were all just trying to carry sleeping children and
ordinarily sleeping children
and make sure everybody had all of their things because that was it. No.
Is there anything else with this park that really stuck out to you? We kind of mentioned it earlier. The food there was really good. We had
the food we had in Pacific Wharf was really good.
Right. And they had several different things to choose from. Now, some of that's going to change because it's in the process of changing over to Go ahead.
San Fran, Tokyo.
Yep, a whole Big Hero 6 theme, in the process, right now, from the bridge to some of the food, Cass's Cafe, to you're going to have a meet and greet for Baymax back there, which I'm just going to book my flight now.
Yeah, and that's the entire, the day they schedule, hey, it's reopening, I think we're going to have to send you and Ka out there or something.
Something, and then I can finally, get that meet and greet with Baymax, which, we'll make it work. But see some of those other things that maybe we missed. But I thoroughly enjoyed this park.
This park made me happy and relaxed in a way I did not feel like I fully got to experience over in Disneyland.
Right. And I know not a lot of people say this, but we enjoyed this better than Disneyland. A lot of people will flip-flop it. It's a preference.
I do think it kind of depends on... I do think it depends on can you go often or not.
Yeah.
Because I think that if you don't have the aspect of, we got to fit it all in, that makes a difference.
Yeah.
And I think that it would have... when you get to go and you get to do it and you're like, hey, we're just going to do these things over in this section. And when we come back in 2 weeks, we're doing the things over in this section. It's a lot easier to swallow.
It is.
I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I had fun at Disneyland. We had a lot of great experiences over there. I have great memories that we were walking away from. But if you make me choose between the two, I'm going to say DCA.
Right. Yeah. It's still as much as I enjoy this, I have to say I need to do it again.
Yes.
It's like Disneyland. I need to do it again before I can really 100% say what I want to say about the park. And I do think
we would have had a more relaxed time because we had such a large party, if we had done Disneyland a day ahead of everybody else. Right. We had done 4 days. So we had a Disneyland day and then a day with everybody at Disneyland and then a DCA day and then a DCA day with everybody. I think we would have had a better experience with Disneyland.
Yep.
But at the same time, I can't guarantee that.
No, I agree. I'd like to know what you guys think, and you can let us know what you think on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Salute to the Ears. Let us know. Do you like DCA, Disneyland better?
I feel like we just started a fight on Twitter, but...
I didn't ask them to compare Disney World and Disneyland, because then it is a fight, and I will sit here and stand on my hill and say, don't compare the two. It's okay for them both to be good. It's okay for one to be stronger in one area than the other. It's I don't understand why we have to sit here and scream at each other and say, your park's bad. They're both They both have their strong
They
suits.
both have their own great qualities.
And they both have things that they're lacking.
One has a big, beautiful castle, and one has a cute little old lady. It's fine.
Yeah. One is like walking on the surface of the sun.
This is true.
So
we're glad you guys could join us. Make sure you tune in. We're going to be starting to talk about our upcoming trip to celebrate my birthday. And I have an exciting adventure I'm going to be doing in July into August for that, which Jeremy has no idea about.
I'm thoroughly confused now.
If you want to make sure you follow us and go out and find your joy.
And have a magical week.